Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. We are continuing the topic of emotional intelligence, and I am so happy to announce that on the 25th of the month, which is 2 Mondays from today, I am going to host an incredible guest who will help us understand a lot more about emotional intelligence. So first, I want to introduce you to the basics of emotional intelligence, and this way you'll be able to participate and understand fully what we are talking about when it comes to emotional intelligence. So let's start with what I'm doing today, and that is self-awareness. So in terms of today's presentation, I want to talk about self-awareness, which is one of the 4 components of emotional intelligence, as I introduced you to last week. The self-awareness component is really an inseparable part of emotional intelligence. And when we talk about emotional intelligence, it really encompasses so many different range of skills. And it includes self-awareness, but it also includes self-regulation, empathy, social skill, and motivation. When individuals have high emotional intelligence, they are able to navigate social situations effectively. They can build strong relationships. They can achieve success in both professional and personal domains, and I will go into details on this today. Without self-awareness, individuals may struggle to effectively manage their emotions and communicate with others, or even navigate social interactions. Self-awareness allows individuals to identify their emotional triggers. There's always a trigger that makes us react in a certain way. So today I will bring you into that awareness and make sure that you identify those triggers and understand how your emotions are influenced by behavior and make informed decisions. When you cultivate self-awareness, you can develop greater insight to your own to your own motivation reactions. You can also see the patterns in your behavior, and you can see how those patterns can lead into improving your self-management and interpersonal relationships. This workshop today will focus on cultivating self-awareness as your first component of emotional intelligence, EI. I want to explore some techniques today, some practices, and enhance your self-awareness, which will include self-reflection exercises, journaling prompts, which I've spoke about several times already, mindfulness practices, and even role-playing scenarios. The workshop really aims to empower you and to help you develop deeper understanding of yourself, leading to improved self-management, interpersonal relationship, and overall well-being. So let's start with what is self-awareness. Self-awareness is really the ability to recognize and understand one's emotions, thoughts, values, strength, and weaknesses. Self-awareness enables individuals to really accurately assess their strengths and in the areas for growth, leading to much greater personal and professional development. It is the foundation of emotional intelligence, and it plays a crucial role in effective communication, as I mentioned, as well as decision-making and interpersonal relationship. How does it connect to your professional growth and your professional growth? In personal growth, self-awareness allows individuals to identify their values, beliefs, and goals, which lead to greater clarity of purpose in life. It really helps individuals recognize their strengths and weaknesses, and therefore facilitate targets that help them for self-improvement and skill development. In professional growth, self-awareness enhances leadership effectiveness, communication skills, decision-making abilities, and it really fosters empathy and understanding in interpersonal relationship, leading to stronger collaboration and teamwork. So overall, self-awareness is really a key predictor of success and fulfillment in both professional and personal domains. And if you've been following my workshop for quite some time, you can see how those workshops really interconnected to one another. We talked back in November or maybe October about communication skills. Communication skills are really, this is one type of skill, but it really derived from your own self-awareness and emotional intelligence. We also spoke about empathy. How is empathy important for interpersonal skills? So please go back to my YouTube channel and search for these to enhance a lot more of your knowledge in terms of these techniques. So I want to start with techniques for recognizing and understanding your emotions. And I want to give you some exercises, which I'll go into more detail of throughout this workshop. So first, self-reflection exercises. How do we do them? Take time and pause. Reflect your emotions throughout the day. Ask yourself questions like, what am I feeling right now? What triggers this emotion? How is this emotion manifesting in my body? Write down your observations in a journal or a notebook, which brings me to journaling. Journaling is really important. And in order to get some prompts throughout this workshop, I will give you some other things that would help you. Set aside regular time for journaling about your emotions, experiences, and insights. It could be throughout the day, it could be early in the morning, it could be at the end of the day, anything that help you reflect to what had happened to you throughout the day. Use prompts like describe a recent situation that triggered, a strong emotion, and what is the response that you had? What emotions did you experience and why did you experience them? How did you handle those situations and what did you learn from it? This can be throughout the day. That could be a summary of at the end of the day activity for you, but it helps to see the triggers. It helps you to navigate throughout the day and see what is it that you are reacting to? What are the things that are triggering one emotion over the other? And it really helps to do throughout the day on various days until you find the pattern of what exactly is happening. Mindfulness, I've spoke about several times. It really does really help in calming yourself down and helping yourself soothe yourself after a certain trigger or a situation. Practice mindfulness, which could be meditation as well, which cultivates present moment awareness and non-judgmental observation of your thoughts and emotions. You can use techniques such as mindful breathing, which we talked about it. There are many different techniques, 478, 555. Just look it up and look through my YouTube channel. I've developed several mindful breathing exercises that I have brought up to you. Body scans also have different ways of technique of mindfulness. Mindful walking to just kind of anchor yourself and bring yourself into a different place where you can be aware and observe your emotional state. Role playing might stuttering today, might sound a little bit awkward to do, but it really helps to practice. Because when you engage in role-playing exercises with a partner or a group, to exercise and recognize the way that emotions can arise in different scenarios. This is extremely good for training teams. It's good for all kind of professional developments that you do, because when you have role playing, you're basically imagining a scenario and taking different roles to explore how different emotions are exposed and then how they can be resolved and how they can be dealt with. There are, of course, other things like emotional intelligence assessment, which you can take online. There are different quizzes that help you gain some insights of emotional intelligence skills. You can use those results to tailor yourself into your self-awareness practices and focus on the areas that you actually need improvement. I've spoke about another concept last week, which was seeking for feedback of other individuals. If you have people that you trust, friends that you trust, family members, colleagues, where you actually trust their feedback, It helps to hear them, because when you are open to constructive criticism and use it as an opportunity for growth and self-awareness, you can incorporate those techniques and shape yourself in accordance to whatever it is that you're trying to convey. So when you incorporate all of these techniques into your daily routine, you really can enhance your ability to recognize and understand your emotions, leading to much greater self-awareness and emotional intelligence. I want to give you some practical exercises. For self-reflection exercise, doing it daily, you can set aside some time each day, check in with yourself, and identify your current emotional state. It helps to do it in the morning if you want to start the day in a certain way, especially if you're stressed because there's something coming up. It just helps target you. It also helps at the end of the day after you've gone through several emotions, but it really helps to pause throughout the day to identify several triggers. So when you set aside that time, you can ask yourself questions like, how am I feeling right now? What emotions do I are present in this moment? Reflect on different factors that may have been influenced your emotions, such as interactions with others. Maybe it's some event. Maybe these are internal thoughts that you have. The second self-reflection exercise is trigger identity. Identify past situations. So reflect on past situations in order to be able to identify or interact with something that triggered your strong emotion as a response. When you explore the underlying reasons for these emotional triggers and how it relates to your value, belief, and past experience, it can help you to actually identify those triggers and know what exactly is happening. So consider how you typically react to these triggers and whether these reactions are healthier ways to respond. And if it is not, maybe you need to learn another method or another way to react. Emotional journaling. Journaling is so important. When you keep a journal or a notebook or some place where you dedicate to documenting your emotional experiences, write about significant events, interactions, or even thoughts that evoked through strong emotions. Describe your emotional responses in details. Include the intensity, the duration, physical sensation associated with each emotion. How did it make you feel? What exactly did you feel at the time? And how can you make it more productive for next time that this trigger comes along? Values assessments. Reflect on your core values and beliefs to gain insights into how they influence your emotions and behavior. Consider whether your actions align with your values, whether any conflicts or discrepancies exist. Identify areas where you may need to make some adjustments or realign your actions with your values. And lastly, I can't stress enough on how gratitude practices is important. Practice gratitude by reflection of things or reflecting on things in your life that you are grateful for. Write down 3 things you are thankful each day, no matter how big or small. Notice how focusing on gratitude impacts your overall mood and perspective. In fact, you can't have 2 emotions at once. So if you're feeling grateful for something, all other emotions will not be able to coexist. I do practice gratitude and I do that a lot. I offer this 28-day challenge. And if you are interested, please shoot me a message or a comment below. I will send you a link. Rhonda Byrne is a great author of the book, The Secret. And she has a gratitude practice on a book that's called The Magic. So I took that book and I broke it apart into the 28 days that are designed for it. And I do have a whole challenge for it. It's not an easy challenge. People have started many times, stopped many times because life happens. But when you practice gratitude and it becomes your life habit, then it really makes a big difference in life. We do that practice at home in my household every Friday when we sit for a Friday dinner, our Shabbat dinner. We practice gratitude with my kids and everyone, even guests, when I host guests. 3 things that you are grateful for. And if you've been a guest in my house, you know that this is something we regularly do. Every Friday, each person in my household and guests that are at that time visiting will mention 3 things that happen throughout the week that they are grateful for. It is profound and it's so valued when you actually can take a moment and identify those things that you are grateful for. Focus on those little things, because when little things are identified, bigger things are coming. Here is a sample I want to give you on sample reflection, an example of how you do that. When you have the sample, and if you need a copy of it, please send me a message and I will send you a copy. It would include a date. It would include emotions. So let's say April 15, it didn't happen yet. It's just a made up one. April 15, 2024. What are the emotions that were felt? Anxiety, overwhelm. What are the triggers that had happened? Received a challenged work assignment with a tight deadline. Physical sensation, what do you feel? Tightness in the chest, racing thoughts, difficulty focusing, insights or lessons that learned. Recognize the importance in setting boundaries and managing workload effectively. If you recognize that this time was too short for you to complete a certain deadline, you should have talked about it. Don't wait until you feel those physical sensations. Healthy response, practice deep breathing, prioritize tasks, manage stress, break down assignments into manageable steps. Again, back to my YouTube channel and find practical ideas of time management. Time management is crucial. We can all use some ideas on how to manage time. How many times do we tell ourselves there's not enough time in the day? There's not enough time in the week to complete the assignments and the tasks. If you do it effectively, yes, there is. So when you talk about the emotions, what you're feeling or what you're asking yourself is, how am I feeling? Am I happy? Am I sad? Am I angry? Am I anxious? Is there any other emotions? Pay attention to those physical sensations that come along. So anxiety would trigger shortness of breath, whatever that is that you are going through. What are those trigger emotions? Reflect on the event. What are the interactions? What exactly happened that caused you to feel this way? Consider whether these triggers are related to something that happened in the past. Maybe in the past you had an assignment that you couldn't work through with the deadline. So make sure you adjust yourself accordingly. How are these emotions manifest through the body? Tune into your body and notice physical sensations. Are you sweating? Are you breathing much faster? Are you putting your head down in frustration? What exactly is happening? And then what can you learn from these experiences? How can you explore those experiences and how can you respond to these experiences? A response can be in many different ways. You can do activities, you can do mindfulness, you can meditate, you can just sit down and plan your schedule and so on. So when you engage in the self-reflection using these guided prompts or questions, you can really deepen your understanding and your emotions, gain valuable insights, and develop healthier ways of responding to them. Journaling prompt. I want to encourage you to use this template as well as a tool, the previous template and the prompts that I'm giving you now, because it helps you to reflect, self-reflection, emotional awareness. Because when you're consistently journaling and when you're consistently gaining the value of the insight, you really develop a much greater self-awareness. So use this prompt for journaling about emotions, strength, and weaknesses. I'm going to break those 3 into 3 categories. The emotions really describes a recent situation that evoke strong emotions in you, at which point you will ask, what specific emotions did you experience during this situation, and how did you expect or manage these emotions? I encourage you to use this and explore these emotional strengths so you can actually write this down and gain deeper insight of yourself and foster personal growth and development. What about strengths? Reflect on a recent accomplishment or success. That is also very important. Appreciate what strengths or qualities did you demonstrate in achieving this success? How can you leverage these strengths in future endeavors? And weaknesses. Identify an area of challenge or difficulty that you have encountered recently. What weaknesses or limitations did you perceive in this situation? How can you work to overcome or address those weaknesses? I really truly encourage you to start journaling. It would help it would help exploring your emotion. It also help your communication style because now you're understanding what exactly is happening, and it would improve your interpersonal dynamic, fostering self-awareness and self-growth. Let's talk about some prompts to reflect a recent reflection or interaction with someone. How do you do that? So first, you're going to describe the interaction. Describe it in details, and I'm going to give you an example. Yesterday, I had a meeting with my colleague to discuss a project deadline. The conversation became tense as we disagree on the approach to meet the deadline. What are the number two, identify the emotional experiences that you have. So going back to my example, ask yourself, were you happy, sad, frustrated, or any other emotion? I felt frustrated and anxious during the discussion, as I was concerned about the meeting and the deadline to maintain a positive working relationship. Explore the reason behind these emotions. Number three. So back to that same example, the disagreement triggered my frustration as I felt my ideas were not being heard or valued. Additionally, the pressure of the looming deadline increased my anxiety. Number four, consider how you expressed or managed these emotions during the meeting. Did you communicate it openly, or did you suppress your emotion? I attempted to remain composed during the conversation, but found it challenging to articulate my perspective without becoming defensive. Number five, reflect on any insights or lessons learned from the interaction. What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about the other person? And what is the dynamic of the relationship? I realized that the importance of maintaining open communication and actively listening to my colleagues' perspective, even when we disagree. I also recognize the need to manage my emotions more effectively in high-pressure situations. And lastly, brainstorm ways to apply these insights to future interactions. Once you have that, I can summarize in future discussions, I will strive to approach disagreement with curiosity and empathy, seeking to understand the other person's point of view while expressing my own thoughts assertively, yet respectively. So if you go through these prompts and you help yourself identify what exactly triggers you at each situation, you really can improve your communication skill, your stress management, as well as your emotional awareness. Mindfulness practices, I have spoken about that so many different times, and please go back and review those. But mindfulness encourages acceptance of the present moment as is. And you're not trying to change or resist it. All you're trying is really calm yourself down, accept the moment, and it could be cultivated through so many different practices and meditation, deep breathing, which basically brings you to reduce your stress, enhance your focus and concentration, and even improve your emotional regulation. So many benefits of mindfulness and self-awareness. So breathing, it increases it increases self-reflection, it enhances your emotional awareness, improves self-regulation, greater clarity of thoughts, enhancing self-acceptance, and deepen understanding and values through priorities. So if you are doing mindfulness, you're really basically bringing yourself into a clear understanding of your emotions. I mentioned before that there are different methods of doing it. The breathing, really basically you can sit down or lay down in a comfortable position, close your eyes, and then focus on the breathing. As I mentioned earlier today, 4-7-8, there is one technique. There are so many other techniques. Whatever you want, you don't need guided meditation for that. It's something that you just equip yourself. I'll just briefly go over the 4-7-8, which I've done before. It's breathing in 4 to a count of 4, holding your breath for 7, and then releasing for 8. It always helps when the release of the air is longer than the inhale, because that activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which basically calms you down. So again, 4, inhale, stop, and don't breathe, just hold your breath, and then 8 to release your breath. There's also body scan meditation, when you basically bring your attention to different parts of your body and you notice any sensation, tension. So many guided meditations that you can find. There is the 5 senses meditation or mindfulness, when you take a moment to notice 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, 1 thing that you can taste. That is something that you don't need any guide for. You just sit down and engage your senses fully at the present moment. Mindfulness walking. Walking really can calm you down. If you just walk in the outdoors, especially when the weather gets better, hopefully soon enough for us, you can notice any sights, any sounds, smell around you when you walk. If you have any place with water next to you, that also can calm you down. So basically, when you do anything that brings your awareness to your emotional well-being. Mindful eating, very important. Choose a small piece of food, such as raisin or any piece of fruit, which basically notice the color, notice the texture, and that would help you to pay attention to the entire process and experience of eating. How does it taste? What's the shape of the food? Really calms you down, brings you to emotional awareness. Role playing, as I mentioned before, there's so many different role playing, and unfortunately, I don't have enough time to go over each one of them. I gave you an example in the previous presentation we had, but role playing is when you basically give a scenario and you work on the different scenarios, like how would it get resolved. Take a scenario, for example, a manager provides feedback to an employee on their performance during a recent project. Just give that as a scenario. And again, this is a great idea for teamwork and some professional development classes in your company. The manager, you have the scenario and then you break it to participants to take the role of a manager and an employee, and then practice giving and receiving feedback, both constructively and respectfully. So many different ways. If you are a manager, a corporate manager, and you need advice on how to do this, feel free to reach out to me. I will give you prompts and I will help you prepare your next presentation. So I just want to summarize what we did today, because we really did talk a lot about self-awareness, which is really the foundation of emotional intelligence. I hope that you understand and recognize how your own emotional intelligence contributes to your strength, but also can contribute to your weaknesses. There are techniques of self-reflection, journaling, mindfulness, and role-playing that can enhance your self-awareness and promote your personal growth. Self-awareness is so essential for effective communication, decision-making, and building healthy relationships. So I really hope that you would continue to practice. I want to emphasize how important it is to keep on practicing in order to be able to grow your professional development. I want to invite you to commit and prioritize your personal development to cultivate your self-awareness. The way you prioritize it is through journaling and through really taking the time and identifying triggers, identifying, practicing on things that you can do. I also want to encourage you on reading. I started this book, The Language of, oh, I forgot the exact name, The Language of Emotional Intelligence. I think that was it. But there's so many other books, Emotional Intelligence 2.0, The Power of Now, Daring Greatly, how the courage to be vulnerable transforms the way we live, love, parent, and lead. That's an amazing book, which gives you a lot of insights on different parts of life. Mindfulness in Plain English. All of these books really will help you increase your emotional intelligence. Of course, there are also articles on the importance of self-awareness. And if you are interested in that, really feel free to reach out. There are also websites that you can reach out to and find different things that you can work on. So I really truly appreciate you joining us today. And I hope that this workshop have gained some of your knowledge to understand emotional intelligence. Your presence and participation really makes this valuable. And so if you can share this workshop, invite more people for my next one. Remember, it's every Monday at 2:30 p.m., same time, same place. And before we conclude, I want to take a moment to acknowledge each and every one of you to really contributing to the time, engaging in this workshop, and taking the time and willingness to participate. Take the time and now participate with those activities. I also want to encourage you to bring me some feedback. I am very happy to hear of any constructive feedback. If there's anything that you think I need to improve, or if you want me to add something, feel free to send me a message on that and submit your feedback, comment below. If there's any topic that you would like me to cover, next 2 weeks are still going to be emotional intelligence before I move on to the next month. But if there's anything you are interested in, please feel free to do that. I want to remind you that on the 25th of the month at 2:30, I will have a special guest that will give us a lot more information about emotional intelligence. And once again, thank you for your participation and engaging today. I am looking forward to hear back for your feedback, incorporate it in my future sessions. And if you have any further questions or would like to continue this conversation, feel free to reach out. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And until our educational journey crosses again, always remember that learning is a gateway to a bright future. Enjoy the rest of the week, guys. Looking forward to see you soon.